Hey guys, slowly becoming a list YouTuber here, and don't worry, this is the last one for a long time. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 10 gods that I want to see in Smite 2 in 2026. Currently, there are about 60 or so gods remaining to be added, and with RDO and Newt confirmed for the remainder of this year, we still have quite a few gods left. So for the year of 2026, I'm going to assume about 25, maybe 26 gods will be released. This is just going to be a sample of 10 kind of in that year. Again, I'm not really expecting this to actually be the gods in the game. These are just some that I want to see personally. So let's get started. All right, number 10.
Martichoras.
This is probably going to be an unpopular one. I want to start with saying, in general, I really love ability-based ADCs, especially gods that have flexibility potential. You can kind of play them in a lot of different roles. With hybrid scaling being really prevalent in this game, I think Marty could fit really well in that hybrid scaling kind of damage dealer ability hunters. You have these really fun proc items with intelligence, different ones with strength that also feel really cool. He's also one of the characters that has kind of a infinite scaling passive, which is awesome, or at least could get one in this game. It wasn't technically infinite scaling in Smite 1, but he would gain lifesteal and a little bit of, I want to say, attack speed per set of stacks, so seeing that kind of infinitely go on in this game would be really interesting. Definitely fitting a niche of a character. I also think with bush mechanics being in this game, now actually a little bit more fleshed out as opposed to Smite 1. The Marty third ability being the bushes would feel a lot better, probably be a little bit more immersive and could kind of blend in with the other bushes. Just being a bit of a cool, I think, contrast. It'll probably fit a bit more seamlessly into the game. He also fits that kind of Uller role as a character and sort of the Neath role, which is just a little bit underplayed. You know, we have Uller, we have Neath, but we don't really have another ability ADC that really fits too well. So I just think he'd be great. Number 9.
Cliodhna.
One of the most unique gods in Smite 1, and I'm honestly pretty surprised and shocked that she's not already in the game. Her kit is definitely a little bit weird. She has a lot of efficacy when you're going into walls and casting damage from those walls. But the idea of this character becoming a hybrid scaler in this game with all the cooldown and proc items, I think gives me a lot of the same excitement as Marty, just of course with her unique components. She'll probably be a little bit cooler. Also, there's like a lot of different interesting aspect ideas I think you could do with wall stuff. I don't think she should get like a support aspect or anything like that, maybe just one that would make her be able to play in the walls maybe a little bit more or a little bit less to fit like different game modes like arena and stuff a little bit better. Could be really interesting. She's pretty elusive just in the sense of her popularity kind of like waned, and sometimes she was really popular, sometimes she wasn't. But what I loved about Cleo all the time was that she was super flexible as a character. You were able to play her in 4 roles, really every role besides support, pretty easily. And when you have a character that gets added that you can just run in so many roles, I really love that. It makes it feel a lot more replayable. You know, recently we got gods like Sylvanas, who you try to give him an aspect to kind of make him work in solo or in jungle, and it doesn't really work, so only really supports enjoy the god, and then if he's not that good in support, nobody really gets to enjoy him. So that kind of flexibility and viability, you got the damage builds, the tankier builds, they all kind of can work, and then with hybrid scaling, int builds, I just think there's so much replayability in one character, especially with the wall mechanics, that she just comes in as a release that feels like 2 or more gods. And that's just awesome to me. Alrighty, number 8.
Baba Yaga.
This one's probably also surprising. I feel like she's a bit divisive of a character. Some people I find really love the potions and kind of the randomness of her kit, while a lot of other people really hate it. But I really want to see Baba in this game primarily for her passive stacking with the house. If you didn't know, in Smite 1, Baba Yaga would walk around and she has this little witch's house that follows her. And as she walks around, there's a bar that fills up. And if she has stacking items, she can go near her house and freely get stacks. When we have items in the game like Devos, Necronomicon, Prophetic Cloak, Book of Thoth, obviously, and more, if she became a hybrid scaler, I could see her obviously getting so much value with all these different stacking items, and especially with some infinite stacking items, just kind of having this fun, get as many stacks as you can type of minigame, which has always been really cool in Baba, but I just think is a bit more better integrated in this game. Also, I think just seeing a Slavic god in the game would be cool. We don't have one yet. She's probably, from a lore perspective, a little bit more prominent than a lot of characters that are lacking or just not in the game just yet. And I think she probably would have had a bigger foothold from a lore perspective and kind of iconicism perspective in Smite 1 had she came into the game earlier. So getting her, not necessarily in the first half because that's already a bit too late, but getting her kind of at the beginning of the second half of Gods, I think would be a really awesome, cool decision. So hope to see her. You can only really play her in mid, but just like the different ways you can play her with damage builds, tanky builds, weird stack builds just seems fun. And I think fun builds and unique builds on a god are always really cool to see. She can probably do it better than most, so Baba Yaga, number 8. Number 7.
Freya.
So Freya is the epitome of a late game scaling character, and in Smite 2 I'd really like Hi-Rez to lean even more into that idea. I'd like to see her early game get even a little bit worse and giving, more scaling to her back-end ability levels and percentages. I could see her filling kind of the same role as in Smite 1, the jungle, a little bit of ADC as well, sometimes some mid lane, with maybe a little bit of variety as well with like an aspect that we would see. I think that the end of Smite 1, that version of Freya, that kit actually fit and it worked. And I don't really see a rework needed for her, just kind of maybe some new intelligence and or strength attack speed items in the game just to make her feel more fun. I could see a bit, of +1 polishing definitely to make her whoop feel better, or ultimate as well. But nothing too crazy. I think magical ADCs in general are a really weird and fun subclass that kind of get ruined for their reputation as split pushers. But Freya was that one magical auto attacker who had really bad tower damage, so she never really had that issue, and I think that stress and kind of concern people have with, hey, if Kronos gets added, we're just going to have people running around backdooring, would not be an issue with Freya. So she's, in a way, I think the cleanest and healthiest magical ADC to add, and I hope she's the first one that comes in, obviously, in addition to Sol, who already exists. Number 6.
Xing Tian.
So Xing, to me, is probably the most underrated god in Smite history. I think both in design and actual strength as a character. He kind of positions himself as this strong anti-carry god that's primarily an anti-ADC. He fits in the solo role as a magical tank, but he can also work in support. He has this kind of self-sustaining passive that lets him play really aggressive, but I don't think he has the frustration playing against him that characters like Kuzenbo or Cthulhu even have. Just feels kind of fair and balanced while also being exceptionally strong at his job. I love the general flow of this pick. I think he's really simple and easy to pick up, but there's a lot of small pockets of skill expression, so it's very easy to pick up, very clean to play. But if you want to, really master the character, you can go the extra mile with him. Like, for example, you gain protections off of hitting your leap on targets. If you time your route the right way, with the knockup attached, you'll get like a lot more kind of damage bled into your kit. And it just feels really good. Even the burst bleed interactions of his one, where his one does a lot of damage and then has a little tick after with anti-auto attack damage on it, feels good. It's fun to use. He's just well designed, and it's been a god that I've really been missing since doing my A to Z series on Smite 1. Number 5.
Chulainn.
Cuckoo is the centerpiece, I think, of the Celtic pantheon, and just off of iconicism, it kind of rubs me the wrong way that he's not in the game before the other Celtic characters. I really think he's sort of, again, the pillar of that pantheon, and I'm not an expert of mythology, but I really think that the Berserk passive of this character, where he transforms into this enraged form, is probably one of the most accurate and also compelling in-game depictions of a god that Smite has used. It's just super in line with everything, and he just feels like straight from the books and the legends into the game seamlessly. He goes from this kind of heroic warrior, gets angry, turns into this big mess with this raging eye that's sticking out of his head. It looks a little bit gross, and I think in Smite 2 could actually look probably a little bit creepier, which would be really fun, giving him sort of that presence that I think he lacked a little bit in Smite 1, just from a visual standpoint, but his actual flow and gameplay is also just incredible. I thought his auto attack chain was smooth. He has a lot of really weird little quirks that really only his character has, like this kind of built-in tremble in his ultimate. His first ability in his regular form stuns minions, which is like super random, but actually feels good. And he's an energy character. You know, I play Rumble on League, so energy characters I feel like are my main thing when I play other games. So Chulainn, you know, it kind of just matches everything with managing energy on this god. It reminds me of that game and vice versa. I just love Cuckoo. I think his passive is awesome. The transformation thing is so much fun. And one that really is sorely missed in the solo lane. Number 4.
Tyr.
Tyr to me is such a fluid feeling god that in Smite 2 is just going to feel even better. We don't have a huge precedent for stance switchers yet in this game, with Artio just around the corner, but we do have Ullr, and Ullr to me felt good in Smite 1 but feels great in Smite 2, so this one is just a no-brainer to me. His passive is also really good at reducing potential long CC, which in a game where people are really split about should there be 1 relic or 2 relics, I'm not super strongly on that opinion, but it's still nice just for the character, right? You can go blink, not worry that bad about having beads, or if you need beads, you still feel like a character. Don't need to use beads for everything, so that's just really convenient. The better blink in this game from Smite 2 to Smite 1's old blink, where you can kind of be in a little bit more combat more frequently, makes the god also, I think, just have more excitement and potential. He's also a really fair god, in my opinion, where he gets hard countered by cripples and knockback immunity, which is super available in this game. But that makes him situational, so when you're into these drafts where there's no Agni or there's no Ares, you can feel awesome, and when you're into that stuff, you can feel trash. So it kind of makes him balanced and limits the frustration factor, right? And that's really important, because a lot of gods come in very strong, and they can kind of be off-putting on how hard they are to play into. But Tyr, it's one of those gods that, yes, sometimes there's horrible games where he sucks, but other times there's great games where he's just the best god of all time, and it's super balanced, and it's super fun, and like you're always just waiting for that perfect Tyr game, and when it happens, you are just in heaven. So really excited for this character when he does come in, and hoping it is soon. Number 3.
Terra.
Terra is a great god to me because she uses structures as lockdown, which is a really unique premise in Smite. Obviously, we have like Bracknell and Ymir Wall, but she does it better, I think, than those gods, and she does it more consistently, really, than any pick in Smite. And that's such a unique premise, and it's not overused, right? Again, we have Thor, we have Cab, we have Ymir, giving like one structure ability on her as well, but it's not super prevalent in the same way. So to have a character that's really kind of built on that identity is not only unique, but it's just fun to play with. Body blocking on this god feels awesome, and it's really available, especially with all the choke points on this map. I could just see it fitting very well. She does have this identity as kind of this healing support, which I've always been a little prickly about in this game, but now with more anti-heal stuff being added, I feel like her fitting into the match actually feels like better, right? Where there's more counterplay just in the game now. Not only that, but having this kind of great displacement immune passive conditional to her stones, I thought was a really skillful and interesting way to make the actual, structures of her kit feel more impactful. And at the same time, again, 1 relic game, a god like Terra not being able to be Ares ulted, probably in this game, not being able to get pulled by like the Herculeses of the world and the Tyrs when those come out, I think would just feel great. I think she really benefits off of this 1 relic system and is fun to play. I can see a damage aspect for mid lane and jungle. Super flexible pick, really fun, super underrated, and really iconic too. I mean, just a lot going for Terra. Number 2.
Tiamat.
Tiamat is this awesome stance-swapping menace that I have so many incredible memories of playing in the solo lane with all these tablet builds. I think her flexibility as a super scaling kind of fast, but semi-defensive pick was just so cool. You could kind of build her full damage, but I genuinely felt like she was invincible. if you could get the character to a certain point with like a tank build with Tablet, which was just so fun. I know Tablet's not in this game, but maybe it will come in. And yeah, that was really the thing with Tiamat. It was like you were racing against the clock against this god. Very Freya-esque, where if Tiamat got to a certain point, she was just the best god of all time and there was nothing you could do. But if she didn't get to that point, she was kind of useless. She's a hard mage that has stand swapping, so it's a little difficult to play her, and there's a lot of, I think, skill expression in the kit, which is really compelling to pick up and learn. And it's one of those characters that I feel like I could play right now on Smite 1, even with all the issues I have with that game 20 times in a row, and enjoy all of it. So much to learn with this character. I have no idea what they could do with an aspect, but when her base kit feels complex and interesting enough that I don't even feel like I need an aspect for her to feel like a good release, that's how I know she's one of the best out there. Definitely want to see her soon. Alrighty, so number 1.
Hell.
And I know that's a shocker. I already do. I'm going to preface that I think Hell in Smite 1 at the end of the game was terrible. I thought she was a really sad god, and I don't really try to like work in reworks into this list because, like, for example, Vamon as a character I think sucks, but I think he'll get reworked, so I'm excited to see him come into this game. But I am anticipating a couple of shifts just naturally with Smite 2 when I talked about like hybrid scalers before for like Marty and stuff. So for Hell, I think her kit was great. I don't think her kit was the issue in Smite 1. I thought the big issue in Smite 1 was the healing systems where you didn't gain increased healing for building damage, which killed Hell completely. And then also anti-heal being a little bit too strong in that game, which also ×2 killed her completely. She didn't heal at all. She didn't do any damage. She wasn't tanky. She was just a complete mess. But a lot of those systems as a whole have been fixed in Smite 2, where like if I do build damage, I can heal more. If I do build damage, I actually will do damage, right? On a character like Hell, because they can fix her scaling up a bit. She has a cleanse in her kit for teammates. Again, don't want to build beats. God like Hell feels perfect. And I think as long as she gets tuned in a way so that her support playstyle doesn't overshadow her mid playstyle, which in Smite 2 they've done a really good job with Aphrodite doing that, where Aphro right now functions I think the best with damage but is playable in support. She's an awesome pick, right? Damage Hell is one of the hardest, most scaling, but rewarding characters of all time. Again, I think people really have a really skewed memory of how this character and how cool she really used to be. But she just got murdered by like 1,000 system changes in Smite 1, which again aren't in Smite 2. So I'm super excited for her. I think this is kind of a chance for this god to really be like reimagined. Again, no kit changes, just literally the system changes of Smite 2. I think benefit this god better than literally any god in Smite 1 has been benefited or will benefit. And I'm just so excited. Obviously, stance switching on this character is going to feel great. So much late game scaling. So much skill expression. It's very Tiamat-esque to me, but just with even higher stakes. So just seeing how far you could take her with all the active items and everything else would just be awesome. And there you have it. So that's my top 10 Smite gods that I want to see in 2026. Let me know your list below and rate mine. Rate it out of 10, sure, if you want. I have a Discord, which I will link below as well. And I'm also going to give a link to Chang'e Best's channel, who edited this video. So make sure to check out all of that stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace out.